All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm your host for today's broadcast, Insane Layer 13, as we are preparing to get underway here for FEC's third IndyCar race of the season. I apologize for the relatively late start to the actual broadcast itself. There was a lot of miscommunication and confusion going on behind the scenes regarding how long it would take for people to actually show up. Real quickly, though, let's go ahead and look over the championship standings as they are right now after the first two races of the season. Leading the points is ScoredBuffalo with 83 points. Second is GRPK Golden with 43 points. However, there is a possibility that Golden could clip Buffalo for the points lead, as Buffalo is not showing up today. Third in points is Maybe Racing with 40 points, putting him in a tie with Jack Broseph, who also has 40 points. Fifth in points is NFL Racer 4812 with 31 points. Sixth is Claiming Racer. He has 31 points. Seventh is VER Plasks with 30. Eighth is Thomas 086R with 29. Ninth is Neesmorph with 27. There's a three-way tie for 10th between Amish Gaming, Pindaz, and Dino Prime. They all have 26 each. There's a lot more going on farther down the grid. 13th is Two Fuzzball with 25 points. He attempted to qualify for this race, failed to make qualifying, as 27 drivers are going for what looks like were 22 spots. He failed to make it, so he's likely going to plummet down the order here. There's a tie for 14th between Coca and NDL Shadow. They both have 22 points each. Likewise, there's a tie for 16th between Neb and Dragon. They both have 20 points each. Kuroshine is also in that tie. He also has 20 points. Prius Killer is 19th with 18 points. PTG Speed is 20th with 17 points. GGA Spino is 21st with 16 points. The Big Mav is 22nd with 13 points. There's a tie for 23rd between Drew Rocks 2006 and VER Razor. They both have 11 points each. And then we have several drivers with only 10 points. Deedsbeam and Packerman, Dr. Pepper, Rated Havoc, Stinky Potato, all only have 10 points each at this stage of the season as we're preparing to get underway for the run here. Big thing about Tire Strategy Day, a lot of newcomer drivers to the series seem to believe that the all-hard tire strategy is going to be the way to go tonight. However, a lot of the more veteran drivers who were here for the prior season of FEC IndyCar, they are not nearly as confident. They believe that the all-soft tire strategy is going to be the way to go based on the way last year's race went. If you remember last year's first Miami race for the IndyCar series, no green flag run lasted anywhere close to 20 laps. And because of that, it was just more ideal to just go ahead and throw on softs with every single yellow flag, rush up to the front, and then just keep doing that ad nauseum forever. But if we have some longer green flag runs and the field gets relatively spread out, the hard tires are likely going to have a gigantic advantage in this event. Stinky Potato starting on pole position in that number 10 machine, Claiming Racer 56, who won this race last season, starting second. Then the NDL drivers of Dindu and Shadow sharing row 2. Maybe Racing and going to be in row 3 with VER Twitchy. Behind them will be second in points GRPK Golden, along with the Big Mav. Behind them in row 5 will be Prius Killer 8110 and Coca 1188. After that will be NFL Racer 4812 and Pindaz. They will be in row 6. Row 7 will be Big Block and NDL Drewski. Row 8 will be PTG Speed and Dr. Pepper. You can see just behind him. Row 9 will be PTG Neb and second in championship last season, Dino Prime. Behind them in row 10 will be Thomas 086R and Jack Broseph. The final row will be Two Fuzzball, who actually did make it into the event, it looks like, and Amish Gaming will be sharing that with them, as Claiming Racer and Stinky Potato come down to take the green flag here at Homestead Miami. Stinky on the inside, Claiming on the outside as they come down to the start zone. This will be the only double foul start they'll have today, and they go green flag. Not a great start at all on the inside line. It's immediately Stinky Potato is plummeting down the order. It is Claiming Racer and NDL Shadow leaping out to the lead of the field right now. Bit of a twitch there by Potato as he has now slipped to 5th position. To Big Man already up to 4th almost immediately, and it is a mad glut of cars here in the middle of the field as they now go through turns 3 and 4 at speed. This is typically where all the problems start happening. There's an incident right there. Someone got to the outside wall. There's another car spinning. 4 cars around at the back of the grid. Potato, who started on the front row, was one of them. PTG Neb is involved. I believe that Fuzzball's gotten away. Dr. Pepper has been involved also. That is going to surely be a lap 1 yellow flag. And it seems like the trends from last season may be holding up here for the first oval race of the year once again. NDL Shadow has gone into the lead, though. Flaming Racer has slipped back to the 5th position. But we were watching there near the rear of the grid as that incident happened. That is Dr. Pepper, who is limping a heavily damaged car right now, hoping to desperately stay on that lead lap in that Toyota. Everything in the car is damaged with the exception of a pair of brakes and a pair of springs. For him, it is going to be an absolute frustration trying to get around and get back to the pit lane here. And so begins our next run here at Miami. It looks like the big man for some reason has gone ghost mode and scooted ahead just a little bit. And here under this safety car period, Stinky Potato is able to make it back into the pit lane. Dr. Pepper, though, trying desperately to get some speed in that car. He's only at 70 miles an hour. He is struggling to pull away from the lead pack, so that way he can have time to actually make this pit stop. So it's going to be NDL Shadow first, Prius Killer second, VER Twitchy in third after a multi-car accident on the very first lap of the race in turns 3 and 4. And finally, Dr. Pepper makes it into the pit lane. PTG Neb runs in last position. He was another one of those cars involved in the incident, and he has significant damage to the rear of the car, but he is not electing to pit right now. He is going to wait until the pit lane properly opens here. Reminder, no one is required to take the pit in road in this race. However, everyone is required to take the proper pit exit road. For those of you who have played this game, you know that the pit exit road here has a wall that juts partially onto it. So if we do get a green flag run and green flag stops in this race, you'll want to keep an eye on that. It looks like Twitchy, the Big Mav, Coca, Dino, Amish, Jack, a bunch of drivers jumping and pitting right away here to get onto new tires, and immediately the tire strategy is starting to spread out and go into a lot of different directions. This will put Flaming Racer back up into the 3rd spot, but NDL Shadow, the number 27, leads with Prius Killer, last season's Indy 250 winner, running in 2nd right now. Again, this will be decent news for PTG Neb, because at the bare minimum, he is not going to have to worry about being automatically filtered to the rear of the grid a lap down. And everyone is still on the lead lap for the moment. And there goes the Big Mav, ghost moding by again. But the field is all gathered up at the moment. Although they do seem to be having some trouble keeping people from going into ghost mode. We should be able to go green very shortly here, I'd imagine. Although there is a massive cluster going on in the back of the grid as they're struggling to figure out exactly what the order is. And Sneaky Potato, who started right on the front row, now relegated to the back of the grid almost immediately. The focus is going to be on Shadow, Prius, and Flaming Racer as they come down through turns 3 and 4. We should be going green once again here at Miami. National Guard pulls up right behind Shadow, but Shadow jumps him, and there's already drivers jumping out of line well before they get to the start-finish line, and Shadow has absolutely gapped Prius coming down to turn number 1. Dindu to the outside, Claiming to the inside. Claiming already disposes of Dindu without too much issue here. There's already movement going on farther back. This is PTG Speed caught in this big glut of cars here in the middle of the field. It's like Dr. Pepper and Sneaky Potato both pitted again, coming to the green flag. And the field rushes through Speedway turns 3 and 4 again. This time, everyone gets out of there without any incident. And Stinky Potato and Dr. Pepper will both now go a lap down as we watch this glut of cars in the middle of the field right now. Speed on the inside. That's Fuzzball on the outside. They are 3 wide farther up, 3 wide farther back. Hard to tell where anyone's even going to be able to go. And there's a car into the outside wall, and that is Dino. Dino into the outside wall, and he may not have been the only one. I think I saw at least one other driver hit the outside wall there. But that red Dr. Pepper car plowed the outside wall, still going with no damage somehow. But at the front, it is Prius Killer, who has now opened the gap. Flaming Racer has slipped all the way back to the 7th position now. But again, tire strategy may have something to do with this. Some drivers believing that the hard tires is the way to go, because if you get long green flag runs in this race, running the hard tires makes this race a simple 3-stop affair. But some drivers betting on lots of yellows think that the soft and medium tires are the way to go. Prius right now has a 1.1 second gap on Indiel Shadow, who himself has nearly a second gap on third place. Big Block didn't do his buried back here in fourth, with GRPK Golden right behind him in fifth. Golden trying to go for the race win. If he can win tonight's race, he can take over the effective points lead from ScoredBuffalo, as Buffalo was not able to attend today's race. So he may have taken home max points in the first two events, but Golden has a fantastic chance to try and close down in the championship fight tonight. Dindu runs right behind Big Block here as Prius continues to run off into the distance. Nev has completely lost touch with the rear of the grid by the looks of it, as has Dino. Dindu closing in behind Big Block. It's just a 0.1 second, but now the field has really gotten spread out quite a bit here. And now this group is turned into a threesome as Big Block and Dindu have both caught Shadow. Big Block goes to the inside of Shadow, not really able to make it stick this time by, and we are back under the caution already on lap 11. It says lap 12, but it's realistically lap 11 of the event. This is going to take a little longer to get the field reorganized back up. We'll take a Twitch mandated ad break. We'll be back momentarily here at Miami. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back here to Homestead Miami. Field not quite all gathered up. Several drivers, including drivers near the front of the grid, elected to pit. And okay, so the yellow flag rules have massively changed. We are already green once again. And Prius is already gapping Shadow. Golden runs in third position. NFL back there in fourth. But I did take a look under that ad break. And yes, Prius is one of several drivers on a softer compound tire. Drivers like Claiming Racer here, who won this race last season. He is running a harder compound tire right now, which is likely the reason why he is falling backwards through the field right now. The harder tires are much slower, have way less grip, as he gets caught behind by his teammate, maybe racing here. And that is Amish going around the inside of Claiming there. But yeah, most of the drivers near the front of the grid are on the softer compound tire right now. And then look at this, you got this glut of cars that's kind of fallen off into their own pack away from the lead group. They are 4 wide in this pack here near the rear of the grid. These are all drivers who we believe pitted, or most of them at least pitted, under this most recent yellow. That's Neb, who's going to let Speed slip by there, and Dindu is in this group as well. But at the front, it is Prius Killer leading NDL Shadow and VER Twitchy, with NFL Racer fourth and GRPK Golden hanging on in, well, he's just now taken fourth from NFL Racer. Coca is there as well, so is the Big Map, another driver who has put himself in the championship conversation right now. Down through Speedway turns 1 and 2 again, side by side between Golden and on the outside in that Palantir car, that would be Coca, and Coca around the outside is going to make it stick. They're both getting the draft off of VER Twitchy just ahead. And it looks like Coca licks the outside wall there. He's slow, really slow, down the straightaway now. Licks the outside wall, but I don't think he got any damage in it. He will be able to continue without too much issue, but he loses his grip on the top 10 now, as now he's going to get blitzed by Claiming Racer and Maybe Racing. So VER Twitchy stabilizing in the 3rd position, while Indy Shadow holds on in 2nd, and Prius Killer in the lead is scooting away from the field. A lot more spread going on this time by, as we are a little bit deeper into the run. Can we go at least 10 laps? Can we go 20 laps even, or even 30? Will we go long enough to see green flag stops? That'll be the big question. I look at our leader, Prius Killer, who has nearly a full 2nd lead over Indy Shadow, but his tires are at 50% wear right now, and he only has 8% left in the fuel tank. And you basically spin your time around here just about flat out, if not outright flat out. So Prius is not really in a position to save any fuel, punching a hole through the air like this as he is. Indy Shadow has now fallen 1.2 seconds out of the lead of Prius Killer. VER Twitchy is running back here in 3rd position. The Big Mav is back there in 4th, with GRPK Golden still there in 5th. Pindaz is pitting out of the 8th position back there. So his green flag stops already beginning, or did he take damage somewhere and he's trying to repair it? No, this must be early stops for drivers who started on the softer tires and is not really doing anything else yet. So Prius Killer has opened up nearly a 1.5-second lead on Indy Shadow, is continuing to stretch it, going way deeper into the run than we thought the soft tires could go. The rumor was that the softs could only go about 17, 18 laps. He might be able to push us 25 laps. Now, of course, the big thing, though, is that Prius did have the pace lap on lap 1, and then 2 yellow flags to also help with the life on the soft tires. And here he is, he's pitting at the end of the 22nd lap now. So this should hand the lead over to Indy Shadow. And we look at Shadow's tire wear right now. He's only at 41%. We believe that he is on what would be known as the medium compound tire. But he also already has a 1-second lead on VER Twitchy, who runs in now 2nd position. He is also only at 37%, but Twitchy is in this big pack of cars with the Big Mav, NFL Racer, Amish, Golden, all right here on top of each other. Amish is now going to pit out of this group of cars this time by. And after completing their pit stop, Prius is now going to go from leading to a lap down. So that's the big thing. You do not want to pit under green flag under any circumstance, because if you do, you will go a lap down. And we are on a green flag run longer than anything we had in this race last season. Again, we did Miami twice last season. The first race was very caution-filled, but the latter race actually had quite a few long green flag runs. And as it is now, we are in a long green flag run, and the soft tires already falling off, and now it is the medium tires time to shine as Shadow leads. Twitchy is 2nd, the Big Mav is 3rd, NFL is 4th, and GRPK Golden runs in the 5th position. And already we are down to only having 15 drivers on the lead lap, as not only has this field spread out, but the strategies have spread out as well. Golden back here in 5th position is losing touch with the drivers ahead. He has just about hit 50% wear on his tires. I look at Indy Shadow, who is trying at least to pull a gap on Twitchy. He's also just about to hit 50% tires. While Twitchy, the Big Mav, and NFL all in a tight little threesome here for 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, hoping to run down Shadow sooner rather than later. Again, when these guys end up pitting, the focus is likely going to go to the likes of Indy Dindu and PTG Speed. Now look at Speed, his tire's 47% right now. Now, he pitted under an earlier yellow, but he will move up to the front. Another driver to keep an eye on will be this man here, Claiming Racer, who we believe committed to the harder compound tire. He is going for the long haul, expecting long green flag runs in tonight's event, looking to try and trap as many drivers a lap down as possible under this rule set. And if we get some really long green flag runs, if there's not a bunch of yellows late, we could very easily see half or more of the field go a lap down just by committing to a poor suboptimal strategy here. That was Golden farther back there, who licked the outside wall. Seems like tire wear is really falling against him, and the same is true for Shadow and Twitchy, as he has now been caught by Twitchy, and Shadow on the inside trying to make something happen, but Twitchy has already gone by. The Big Mav continues to hold on 3rd. NFL Racer has lost touch with these 3 drivers at the head of the grid now. Shadow washes wide in turn 4. He now falls to 3rd, so Twitchy inherits the lead on the 29th racing lap of the event. He is at 53% wear on that right front. He can probably stay out here for another lap or two, but he'll have to come in sooner rather than later. Fuzzball paying out of the 13th position now. So he'll go a lap down, maybe even 2 laps down considering how far back he was. And Shadow is going to pit this lap. So Shadow pits this time. So now it's just Twitchy and the Big Mav at the head of the field with each other. NFL is a distant third. GRPK Golden is an even more distant fourth. So on the medium tire runners, it looks like Twitchy and the Big Mav are the ones best off right now. But again, the interesting thing is going to be what of the hard tire runners? That will be the big question we're all going to have as this race continues. The hard tires, everyone believed, and there is someone who has had a big slide there on the front straightaway, trying to make it into the pit lane. Looked like they missed the pit entry though, and that is Dr. Pepper. Dino is pitting farther back there, so he must have put on softs after he made that other stop, and he can't take them any farther. Twitchy now paying out the lead, and he'll be joined by the Big Mav. NFL Racer will now get a chance to go into the lead. No, NFL tries to come in the pits, and he hits the wall! NFL Racer crashes in the pit lane entry wall. So now the lead suddenly goes to GRPK Golden. He doesn't have the pace, but he is limping these worn-out tires a little farther than we anticipated. He is going out to lap 33 now. Indio Didn't Do runs about 0.4 of a second behind him right now, but Didn't Do... What? It says it Didn't Do as... Oh my goodness! And a humongous crash! And there's a big barrel roll by GRPK Golden as he barrel rolls coming out of turn number 4! He went to the outside wall by the looks of it, got hit by Didn't Do at full speed, and launched Golden into the catch fence, and it barrel rolled along the fence Richard Petty style before tumbling down the turn 4 embankment and coming to a stop. And suddenly, the lead of the race goes to PTG Speed, a driver who, throughout most of the weekend, has not had any internet or any serious chance to practice. Suddenly, he is leading the race with about 100 laps to go. Well, and this also puts half of our drivers a lap down, although I imagine a lot of them will get, or at least several of them will get a lap back when our leaders pit here. But PTG Speed suddenly ends up with the lead here at Miami. We're going to take a Twitch Mandate ad break. We'll be back momentarily here at Miami. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Miami here. We are down to just 8 drivers on the lead lap, but we are anticipating that most, maybe not all, but most of these lead lap drivers are all going to be pitting. Speed pits, Didn't Do pits, Claiming pits, Maybe pits, Drewski pits, Nebs pits, Twitch pits, and the Big Mav pits. Also Golden, who went a lap down, also pits. But this means that most of those drivers who went a lap down under this session are now going to end up back on the lead lap. Now, they'll still be behind this group of cars, but they all do have a position back on the lead lap just for the moment here. So the question is going to be, who is going to be leading in this group as they come out of pit lane? It looks like it's going to be PTG Speed. So again, Speed, who spent most of this weekend completely unable to practice, unsure if he'd even be able to race, suddenly finds himself leading here about a quarter of the way through our event. And the strategies have become very, very interesting because Claiming Racer has worked his way up to about the second position running the hard tires. But if he's put on the hard tires again, he's going to be completely uncompetitive and will fall backwards through the field. We are having fewer yellow flags than we did in this event last season. We've gone a bit over 20 laps that run before, well, about 20 laps before a yellow that time by, before drivers thinking the hards are all the way to go. If you're having yellows every 20 laps, the mediums would honestly be the more ideal compound. And in the case of Prius, you might still be able to make the softs work in that scenario. So it is PTG Speed leading Claiming Racer, then VER Twitchy, maybe racing Neb, the Big Mav, Drewski, and Dindu. Shadow gets the lap back. He goes to 9th, and Thomas 086R gets his lap back. He is back to 10th now. And now 19 of our 22 drivers are on the lead lap. Dr. Pepper is 2 laps down after being involved in a lap 1 accident and crashing coming to the pit lane at one point. Golden is still a lap down after his catastrophic crash out of the lead. And Sneaky Potato is still a lap down from his lap 1 accident as well. And we're likely not going to go green until they come around to start lap 38 here. So we'll have just a little bit more time under the yellow. Real quickly, looking at the fuel levels of everyone on track. 50% in the fuel tank for PTG Speed. For comparison, Claiming Racer running in second. He has 80% in the fuel tank. So that should tell you a lot right there. Claiming is anticipating to go long. Speed not anticipating to go that long. 60% in the fuel tank here for VER Twitchy. For Maybe, who was running in 4th, 60%, so he's also not expecting going very long. PTG Neb here in 5th position, 70% in the fuel tank. So I think Claiming Racer probably has the hard tires on. I would not be surprised if he has a solid initial start, but after about half a lap, he starts falling through the grid on harder compound tires. I think everyone around him is going to be on the mediums. Maybe 1 or 2 guys will be on the softs, but I think the mediums might end up being the preferred tire choice for most of this field as we are preparing to come back to the green flag. So PTG Speed will be the one controlling the field to the green flag. Claiming Racer in second. As we accelerate out of the restart zone, Speed had a good launch. They are already trying to get 3 wide farther back. It looks like Claiming was kind of caught off guard, but so was VER Twitchy. So Claiming is not immediately under threat, at least, from Twitchy. He can try to focus forward on Speed. This is farther back. This is Dindu, Shadow, Drewski, all the NDL drivers, all in a little glut here in the bottom half of the top 10. There's Thomas there as well. Pindaz is there. All these guys right on top of each other, and it looks like that lead group stays it clean. One guy did hit the wall farther back there. That may have been, I'm not sure who that was, but it looks like we're all still rolling once again. No issue here. This is Fuzzball we're looking at right now, who is slipping back to last in the lead lap. And we look back at the lead. It is PTG Speeds trying to stay ahead of VER Twitchy with Claiming Racer in 3rd, maybe racing in 4th. Drewski 5th right now. Speed trying to hold a normal, predictable line, not trying to do anything too wacky or wild. Twitchy falls off of Speed just a little bit, backs up Claiming Racer in the process, maybe staying about 3 to 4 car lengths farther back. And that is your 4-car breakaway at the head of the field. Speed, Twitchy, Claiming, and Maybe. A little bit of contact farther back there in that second pack that Dindu is leading, along with Thomas, the Big Mav, and Drewski, and Neb in that group. I think Prius might be in that group as well. And it looks like it may have been NDL Shadow who pitted and has now gone a lap down after paying here under the green flag, potentially to repair some sort of damage and maybe some kind of single car incident. I look at Twitchy's tires right now. He is at 12% tire life right now. I look at PTG Speed, who is leading. His tires are at 18% right now. And then I look at Claiming Racer, who is running in 3rd position at the moment. 12%, and we are back under the yellow already. Looks like we may have had another instant here. I don't see damage from the drivers back here, but we are back under our 4th yellow of the event now. It is PTG Speed leading over Twitchy, and they are both leading over Claiming. Claiming this time holding steady at the head of the grid. Not the pointy head of the grid, but near the top of the grid on the harder compound tire right now. And with this, we're already about 1/3 of the way through the event. Again, when we get green flag runs, we rip off laps at the rate of about 3 laps in a minute. But staying green has been the biggest struggle in this series when they race here at Miami. but this has been significantly better than what we had last season. We have actually seen some level of strategy permutations playing out here and shuffling the field a bit. But PTG Speed leading in the Indy cars at Miami. And I got a chance to talk with him before the season started. He said he was really caught off guard. He has not raced Indy cars in Forza at all since early 2020, back in Motorsport 7. He said he's just completely caught off guard, kind of forgot how bloody fast these things were. Well, he seems to have used a little bit of strategy and adaptability to really get back into play. Thomas paying farther back. We are already back under the green flag. A very short yellow flag situation. Thomas was the only driver to pit that time by, and we are back at it here. Now Twitchy looks to the inside of Speed. Speed outside, Twitchy inside. There are 3 wide farther back there. Looks like maybe Racing may have lost a little bit of pace there. He's going to fall out of the top 5 all of a sudden. This is the Big Mav under threat from Dindu. And this glove car is Twitchy and Speed still neck and neck at the head of the field right now. With that Excite car trapped on the outside of Dindu. Comes down, but they're not quite going to make contact, and that's Prius who's cutting his way back through the field. Prius, who went up front and led the first chunk of this race, is already racing his way back up through the grid as if nothing is stopping him. Look, go right by, claiming, go right by the Big Mav as Mav is still fighting with Drewski there. Prius is already up in the 4th position, now already up to 3rd as he gets by Dindu, cracks back into the podium positions now. Speed and Twitchy at the head of the field right now. These two, we believe, are running medium tire compounds. Prius, who is running this duo down, might be on the softs, but Twitchy and Speed have been side by side for almost 2 full laps. It looks like Twitchy is finally going to get by Speed. Speed licks the outside wall. He is slow on the extreme outside line. He has to get back up to Speed as quickly as possible, but Speed's great run at the head of the field suddenly falls apart. He's going to fall likely out of the top 10 positions now. And Prius Killer had to back out to avoid Speed in the process, so this puts him behind Dindu just a little bit. And Twitchy is back in the lead, but Dindu and Prius are running Twitchy down now. Drewski now goes by Claiming, so now we're seeing those harder tires that Claiming is on really start to hurt him. He has fallen out of the top 5 again. But with everyone around him on the mediums instead of the softs, they're not hurting his pace as much. Claiming is not going to be as far behind as he was in the first run. Still stuck in this big glut of cars here. They're 3 wide for a lead! And just for the moment, they were 3 wide going into turn number 3. Dindu gets by Prius. They both have gotten by Twitchy there. Prius has a run on Dindu as they fire off into turns 1 and 2 again. Dindu holds the line. Prius looks inside, thinks about going outside. He's going to stay in line for now as they go down the back straightaway. Gets a fantastic draft. Dindu fins the inside line. And we are back under the yellow flag again, as it looks like we have had someone who has had an accident here on the back straightaway, no, on the front straightaway. That is Indy El Shadow, who is limping at extremely slow speeds. The rear of the car is destroyed. My guess is that he has either spun and backed into a wall, or he got ran over from behind at high speed. That will be our 6th yellow flag of the day now. Prius Killer now up into the 2nd position in that green and black car. He still has some life in his tires and not much fuel left in the car compared to Dindu. If this is another short yellow, I can see Prius easily leapfrogging Dindu and going right to the lead. And Dindu apparently has a small amount of engine damage as well. 39% wear on the tires for Dindu. I look at Prius, who runs in 2nd. He is at 39% as well. So Dindu and Prius may be on similar compound tires, I guess. This is Twitchy in 3rd. 27%, so Twitchy seems to be on a harder compound tire, maybe, who runs in 4th. He is on 26%, so again, another driver we believe is on a harder compound tire. The Big Mav here in 5th, 26%. So again, we think that those drivers are on the hards, and Dindu and Prius, I guess they're not on the softs, they're likely on the medium tires right now. Several drivers lining up on the outside, hoping to capitalize if our lead group elects to pit. As Indy El Shadow looks like he still has not cut the rear of the grid. He's actually jumped into the pits this time by. So the outside line, they are lap down cars who will try to get a lap back if the leaders all end up pitting this time. That'll be Coca, Golden, Stinky Potato, Thomas, all hoping to get a lap back if our lead lap drivers elect to pit. Prius looking to the inside, but Dindu is going to stay out on track this time by. Prius pitted, Claiming pitted, but maybe stayed out, so a deviation, the 4-team strategy. The Big Mav pitted, Drewski pitted, Speed stays out, Neb pits, Block pits, Dino pits, Fuzzball, NFL, Amish, and Pendaz all elected to pit that time by. And it looks like those lap down cars are still going to be allowed to rush around and get back to the tail end of the lead lap this time. So maybe in third is on the harder compound tire. Dindu and Twitchy. Well, Dindu is on the medium tire, we believe. And then Twitchy, we believe, is on the hard compound tire as well, from what we understand. Only 28% tire wear on Twitchy's machine. I look at Maybe, who is in third. They are at only 27% wear. And Thomas is in the pits again after being the one who brought out that yellow flag. Our focus is going to be on Twitchy. Harder compound tire. He has to be the one to react to Dindu. If he does not react well, Dindu will get a great chance to open a gap and try to run away from the field a bit before he finally chooses to make his pit stop. Now again, when you pit, even if you are leading, when you pit under the green flag, you automatically go a lap down. You do not want to pit under green flag circumstances at all. But we do not know how long the green flag runs are going to last. That is the big question. We are underway once again at Miami. Twitchy did a good job predicting when Dindu was going to go. Dindu, while he does have a bit of a gap on Twitchy, it's not unbearable, and Twitchy has really pulled away from Maybe. He's really launched ahead of Maybe on this restart. PTG Speed up into the 4th position now, trying to rebound from his lick on the outside wall earlier. Twitchy now gained the draft on Dindu down the straightaway through 3 and 4. Again, Dindu is on the softer tire compared to Twitchy, and his tires are already at 45% wear. He also is believed to have a small amount of engine damage as well, which will compromise his ability to really pull away from Twitchy. A little bit farther back, we look at this big glut of cars. Although for the moment, they seem to be mostly single files that come down the back straightaway. Now we see Big Block looks to the inside. Jack Broseph side by side between the two of them. They're side by side also a little bit farther up the grid. That's Fuzzball back there trying to make his way back up the grid. Jack Broseph a little bit wide there, nearly 4 wide near the back of this big field. 3 wide there. That's Jack, who is trapped on the outside line. Doesn't look to be very confident. Comes down, makes it 3 wide with some big wheel-to-wheel contact between all those cars in that instant. Jack is hemorrhaging positions, just can't seem to figure out a way to make that outside line work. Right now, he has now fallen out of the top 15. And at the front, it is still, and there's another car has hit the wall further back there, as now Jack on the inside is going to go by a bunch of drivers. They're 3 wide behind him now, but Jack breaks it back into the 13th position here. Well, GRPK's teammate, Fuzzball, runs second. Again, Fuzzball, we thought, missed the ability to run the race, but in the end, he did barely make his way in to qualify for the run. He is 11th right now, trying to recover from an incident earlier. And at the front is Dindu and Twitchy, just about neck and neck at the head of the field, but Dindu will have to pit sooner rather than later due to tires. And Twitchy, the big thing for him, he is running in the draft of a faster car. He has pulled away from everybody else. It's looking fantastic for him. And look at Prius, he's already got by, and that's Speed into the wall again. That's the second time we've seen Speed get into the wall, but this time it looked like he may have been squeezed, and with 59% wear on the tires, I think that's going to be all she's wrote for him. But look at this, Prius has already worked his way into the 3rd spot with fresh tires. They have 19% wear, so he has got to be on the soft compound tire, but he is already trying to run down the lead duo of Dindu and Twitchy. And if we believe Dindu is going to pit shortly, that will make it even easier for Twitchy to maybe get run down by Prius here. 62% wear on that right rear tire by Dindu. You can see he just washes up the circuit there. It's turns 1 and 2. Twitchy goes right by. There's nothing that Dindu could have even attempted to do there. I would be shocked if Dindu doesn't try to pit this time by. But as they come around through 3 and 4, no, Dindu wants to stay out for another time. Prius only runs about 1.1 seconds behind the duo of Twitchy and Dindu. Now, just 1 second now, he continues to just chew away at the lead that Twitchy has right now. Again, Twitchy, we look at him, his tires already have wear. He's already at 45% wear right now. I look at Prius, who is flying around on these super soft tires right now. He's only at 27% wear, and he is towing around Drewski and the Big Map. That is Dindu on the inside. He is ducking into the pits this time by. And maybe being right there in 5th, this could be huge news for his championship run. He really wants to turn around his championship run. He did finish on the podium in the last race, but he was so far away from the podium at the end of our season opener hack home that he is nowhere near the top of the championship point standings right now. He needs a good run today when ScoredBuffalo is not here for him to try and put on some serious title defense after winning the championship a race early and missing a race mid-season last year. But he is kind of behind the 8 ball trying to dig himself out of a hole right now. That is Prius into the outside wall there in turn 2. Still going, still good, but in the process, this has really stabilized things for Twitchy. He'll be able to stay about a second ahead of this group. So while Prius has been fighting with that group, he can't pull away. That seems to be the big problem. A driver on the soft tire, all they're really doing is giving the drivers on the harder compound tires a gigantic advantage because the draft is so powerful. Just stay in the draft to someone on the softer tires. Let them pull you around at a speed faster than what your car could normally take, and then just take the position later when they pit. So it seems like a very Machiavellian strategy is the way to go. Just hang out behind somebody on the softer compound tire and just inherit their position once they burn their tire up and have to pit. Drewski is now slowly starting to run back down on Twitchy. And I look at Drewski, his tires are at 42% wear. So it's not like his tires are super fresh either, but he is closing down slowly on Twitchy at the head of the field, who's already at 54% wear on that right front. And we have Maybe here in third position. We believe he is on the harder compound tire, but he's at 56% wear right now. And then Prius, who is running fourth in this pack, he's only at 43%, but he is going to have to pit sooner rather than later because he is on such a soft compound at the moment. It looks like GRPK Golden is the last driver on the lead lap right now. And his teammate Fuzzball is just a little bit ahead of him. Again, we're keeping an eye on them because that team is really trying to make something happen in the championship with ScoredBuffalo not attending tonight. Drewski has now gotten by Twitchy's clearedom, and Twitchy now hemorrhaging massive amounts of time. And here's the other thing, as the tires get worse and worse, it's going to become harder and harder to make it down the pit lane safely. Still, Twitchy running the draft of Drewski might try to go until the fuel tank is completely empty here. Now through 3 and 4 again, as we are on one of our longest green flag runs now. Still 16 drivers on the lead lap for the moment, but we anticipate most of our leaders are going to be pitting sooner rather than later. And I look at Claiming Racer back there in 7th. If he pitted on the last yellow and threw on another set of hards, he will suddenly vault himself back into the lead, or at least the contention for lead of this race all over again. Twitchy is now going to pit out of second position. So Prius will inherit second now. His tires are at 54% wear. Doesn't have a lot of fuel in the tank either, but he is starting to chew into Drewski's lead. Drewski and Prius have similar amounts of tire wear, similar amounts of fuel left in the car as well. So I think these two are likely going to pit either on the same lap or within one lap of each other. So then our focus goes to the Big Mav, who's filtered his way back into third. He's at 59%, but he's got quite a bit more fuel. He might choose to limp out here a bit longer. Maybe is paying a lot earlier than anticipated. So Claiming Racer now inherits 5th spot. He is nowhere near the lead of the group, but he is on a alternate strategy, trying to min-max the hard tires to trap as many drivers a lap down as possible. And he is now up to 5th as Drewski pits out of the lead. And now Prius will re-inherit the top spot. Big Block also paying out of the 4th spot now. But only 1.5% left in Prius's killer's tank. He should have the momentum to make it to pit lane without being slowed down too much. And we are a bit past the race's halfway point now. You can make this a one stop to the end, hard if you pit now with no issue. The Big Mav now inherits the lead. But they're at 66%, 67% wear on that outside tire. Claiming Racer runs about 3 1/3 second, about 3.5 seconds out from the Big Mav. Still not really making any closing ground on track. Well, now he is. He just took a full second. Now he just took 2 full seconds out from the Big Mav. Is the Big Mav trying to pit? I think Big Mav is going to try and pit this time by. He is slow, very slow. But no, he's nowhere near pit entry. Maybe he hit the wall and lost time with that, but suddenly Claiming Racer is back into the lead. And again, the anticipation is that the longer the green flag runs are, the better and better off the hard compound tire is. And now Claiming gets a chance to try and put as many drivers a lap down as possible. Only 9 drivers still on the lead lap right now. Now the Big Mav pits out second, so we'll go down to 8 drivers on the lead lap. Pendaz now moves his way up into the 5th position. Pendaz not really fast in these races, but he seems to have figured out a way to get some strategy to play out in his favor. Getting him into the top 5 right now would be pretty solid, but his tires are still really close to expiring. I look at second place NFL Racer right now. 50% wear. He's also likely going to have to pit sooner rather than later. That is PTG Neb, who's just gone by him on the inside. Neb, though, is also at 51%. So these two are having a legitimate fight. We'll both have to pit around the same time. Claiming might end up putting the entire field a lap down here in just a few minutes if we stay green. There's this big glut of cars here, all fighting at the head of this lap down pack. It's the Shadow, Twitchy, Prius. All these guys were leading earlier, but now they are a lap down to Claiming. Now, NFL and Neb are slowly closing down on Claiming, but their tires are just about cooked, so they're not really going to be able to do anything to him. Amish Gaming now pits off of the lead lap, so he'll go a lap down this time by. Twitchy staying ahead of Shadow. Prius looking to the outside, but can't really figure out a way by those Excite guys at the moment. Now only 5 drivers still on the lead lap. NFL Racer still leading. Well, not leading, but still second, just barely ahead of Neb right now. But these two will have to pit sooner rather than later. Prius now gets the lead of this little pack of cars here. He's at 15% on his tires. He's probably put on a harder compound tire now, realizing that we have settled into a nice long run, but maybe it's been too late. We do not know, but there is a likelihood that unless Prius can make it, well, no, I think this race might be over. Claiming Racer can probably make it on 2 more stops, but he will have the option to throw on a medium compound tire when he makes a stop later. He's at 59% wear right now. Look at NFL, who's running in second. He is at 58%. NFL is actually a little bit better on tire wear and running a little bit less fuel in the tank as well. Jack Broseph now pissed, so we are now down to just 4 drivers on the lead lap. Claiming NFL, Neb, and Dino. Dino was involved in that earlier lap 1 incident, I believe it was. Or was it a lap 4? It's out of the way. Dino involved in the incident earlier, but he's rebounded. He is the last of the lead lap cars right now, but half a lap down to your leaders. Neb now pits out of the 3rd spot. So now only 3 drivers will be left on the lead lap. When does Claiming pit? That is going to be the new question. He is at 60% wear on those outside tires. Neb has made his stop. So NFL in second. Dino Prime moves up into 3rd. And here we are. Claiming Racer paying on lap 79. So with about 55 laps left, Claiming making his stop. And NFL Racer is going to join him. Dino, we don't know when he's going to elect to pit. Is he going to stay out a little longer? He's got the fuel, but not the tires. He's going to pit this time as well. So suddenly, that was as close to legal as possible. But now Prius is going to suddenly leapfrog a bunch of time. But will he be close enough to get ahead of Claiming? Coming down the start-finish straightaway. And he is clear of Claiming. Claiming just now coming out of pit lane. You have to use this proper pit road exit. Has caused problems for people in the past. But Claiming accelerates out. He is in 7th position now. And again, if he's put on the harder compound tire, you can probably go 30, 37 laps, somewhere around there. Then pit again and throw on sauce for the last 20 laps or so and be fine. Prius does not have that luxury. He will have to pit one more time, as would Claiming. But Prius will have to go hard and hard. Claiming may be able to throw on a soft tire or medium tire for the final pit stop if we stay green to the end. And interestingly enough, we are suddenly back in a position where 20 drivers are all back on the lead lap, even if ever so briefly. But the gaps in the fields are absolutely gigantic all of a sudden. As we look at this little glut of cars, Big Block, Dindu, Drewski all on top of each other here. As Twitchy and Prius really got away from them very quickly. Speed making a pit stop farther back there, so he'll be the first of the drivers to pit again on this run. So the strategy is kind of all over the place, but it does look like, to me, Claiming Racer has the ideal strategy of choice. And again, we talk about this every week when we watch something and we cover something in FEC. The trio of Maybe Racing, Claiming Racer, and ScoredBuffalo win about 80% of all events in FEC. But this time, it doesn't look like Claiming, if he's going to win this, it's not going to be off of sheer ridiculous pace. It's going to be by massively out-strategizing everybody. But there's still a lot of race left to play out here. So Jack's gone a lap down. Speed has gone a lap down again. As we watch this fight here for 3rd, 4th, and 5th. Claiming Racer hangs out about 4 seconds behind this fight. He is running completely, well, not completely solo on track, is he? No, he is running completely solo on track. As is his teammate Maybe Racing, running a little bit higher up the road, but Claiming and Maybe are on slightly alternate strategies at the moment, as given Maybe track position and the time, excuse me, But I look at Maybe's tires, he's at 37% wear. Excuse me, I look at Claiming's tires, who is behind him, he's only at 12% wear. So the gap is pretty significant. Maybe is pulling on Claiming, but Claiming is thinking long term. He is thinking, I only have one more stop to make. Maybe will likely have to make 2 more. Or may potentially have to make 2 more to the end. And again, we look at Prius Killer, who is leading and slowly putting drivers a lap down. He is already at 52% on the tire wear. And we still have about 50 laps left. A little less than 50 laps left. Around 47 laps left right now. Prius, maybe he'll jump onto the hards for the last run. But otherwise, I think Prius is kind of cooked. Dindu now pits out 5th. Stinky Potato is pitting farther back there as well. PTG Neb runs just barely ahead of Prius. He desperately wants Prius to pit sooner rather than later, so Neb doesn't have to worry about getting trapped the lap down here. As we have really opened up our green flag run now. Golden, second in points coming into today's race, had a big accident while leading, flipped along the fence in turn 4, but he is now in 10th position. But it does not look like he is having the kind of day necessary for him to steal the points lead or get seriously close to ScoredBuffalo in the points championship either. And Golden ducks into the pits, and no, he hits the inside wall! Golden misses pit in! There's no damage to the car except for some engine damage, but a bad day suddenly goes worse for Golden. Prius pits out of the lead this time by. And that is the difficulty of trying to herc it down onto pit lane coming out of turn 4. You can miss it and hit that inside wall very easily. Twitchy rushes his way by Golden there. And now Golden gets a lap down. And it looks like Golden will finally make it into the pits the second time by. But yeah, that run of the championship that Golden was trying to set up for, gone now. As Twitchy goes to the lead here. With about 43 laps to go, he'll have to pit sooner rather than later, but Twitchy will be in a position that when he pits, he can throw on a set of hard tires, not really worry about any fall off, and he'll be good to the end. Drewski runs in second. Maybe Racing is third. Maybe at 50% on that right front tire wear, though, he'll have to pit sooner rather than later. So maybe we'll definitely have to throw on the hards. The big thing, though, is going to be Claiming. We can stay out here for a long time, and if we stay green, he can throw on the soft tires when he makes his final stop. Everyone on track still has one more stop to make, but most of these drivers will be putting on the hards. I think Claiming's going to be able to put on the softs, and anybody who ends up being ahead of him is going to be dealing with one of the fastest drivers on track, just being maybe a full second a lap faster than them on the run down to the end. So a strategy race is how this race is finally played out as we are on our longest green flag run here at Miami. Neb and the Big Bev having a fight here for 8th and 9th. That is Twitchy a little bit behind them. Pindaz is the car right behind them, and briefly you can see Twitchy farther back. But right now these two are not at the risk of going a lap down at the moment. And they still have plenty of life left in their tires as well. Now, they do not have the life in the tires to go to the end of the race. They also have only one more stop to make. But I think Neb and Mav are going to be in a position where they could throw on mediums or soft tires and try to queue up some time and make some ground up very late in the running here. Neb has had some good pace, good speed in the last 2 races, but keeps being caught up in other people's incidents and plummeting down the grid in the process. And we have a caution. Of course we have a caution with about 39 laps to go here. So we're going to go ahead and take a Twitch-mandated ad break as we are under the caution flag once again at Miami. Well, that flattens any kind of strategy that was going on. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back here to Miami under a yellow with about 40 laps left, about 1/3 of the race distance left. Everyone on the lead lap pit except for NFL, and with a little less than 40 laps left, I think it's pretty easy to say that everyone who is pitted has thrown on hard compound tires. Who would this benefit more than anyone else? Claiming Racer. Why? Because he was already on the hard tires, already had a lot of fuel in the tank. So when he made his stop, they did not have to spend much time refueling the car. He jumps to second. His teammate maybe jumps to third. NFL leads, but he did not pit under this yellow flag. He already has quite a bit of wear on those tires. Now, when he does pit, he'll likely be in a position that he could throw on medium tires, something that's a little bit softer to rush forward near the end. But he's still likely to go a lap down unless we have some yellow flags in the first 5 or 6 laps right after this restart. The field hasn't quite yet gathered up, so we shouldn't be going green this time by. We anticipate we'll go green the time after this. Right now, 16 drivers will be counted as still on the lead lap. PTG Speed, 2 Fuzzball, Coca, Golden, Sticky Potato, all lap down. And no, we went green this time by. Even though the rear of the grid had not caught up, we went green this time. And NFL immediately under threat from Claiming Racer behind. Claiming now looks to the inside of NFL. NFL on the outside. Claiming on the inside. Maybe's now going to follow suit. It was Claiming versus Maybe at the head of the Miami grid at the end of both Miami races last season. Are we going to see a repeat today? It looks like that's the case. Again, that duo of Claiming and Maybe, and then Scored, who's not here tonight, win 80% of all events in FEC, and they are on track to do it again. No one else on track, I think, is really on their level at the moment. Everyone else has been doing other strategies, really been working out on the softer compound tires, but now, late in the event where everyone's going to be on the hards, I don't know if they're going to have anything for him. Maybe leads. Claiming in second. NFL runs in third. Fourth is the Big Map. Fifth is Amish. Amish having a relatively strong run of it today. And then Twitchy is back there in sixth. NDL Shadow pitting farther back there, so he's going to go a lap down this time by. 15 drivers still on the lead lap, but the field already really spreading out. But now they're spreading out as almost everyone is on the exact same tire compound, I imagine. And the drivers who are on something soft are going to have to be cooling off shortly and make something happen. Big Mav to the inside of Claiming, to the inside of Maybe, and we'll pass both of them in that 24X site car. So Big Mav to the top of the grid, but he is at 14% tire wear. I look at Maybe, who just went back by him on the inside. Maybe is at 14% tire wear as well. So these three guys are all going to be on each other's wavelength by the looks of it as we come down to it. Big Mav goes back to the inside of Maybe. Side by side, neck and neck between these two again. Big Mav gets it on Maybe, scoots just ahead of that number 3 Ford once again. And now it looks like Amish and NFL has caught this group, so now it is a 5-car pack at the head of this grid with Amish, and somehow NFL on those burnt-out tires has recaught this lead pack. NFL maybe trying to use that strategy that we talked about earlier. Let the drivers on the faster tires turn the laps for you. You just follow them and stay with them. But the thing is, NFL is going to have to pit sooner rather than later. He's already at 48% wear, but he goes by Maybe and Claiming, and now NFL goes into the second position and now looks forward at the Big Mav. Mav really seems to have figured something out. He is now trying to gap the rest of this field. He slides down, trying to break the draft as they come out of the final corner. Maybe back to the inside of NFL's tires are starting to get to him. He's having trouble holding the inside line. He's trapped on the outside. Maybe and Claiming both go by him without issue. Big Mav leads, but Maybe has caught him once again now. And when they hit the line, it will be 30 laps to go. So if we stay green, this race will be over in about 10 minutes time. And in this pack of cars, we don't really know who's going to win it. Okay, we know who's probably going to win it, but we don't know for certain who's got it. Down the back straightaway. Mav still ahead of Maybe ahead of NFL. Claiming Haynes out in fourth, Amish in fifth. Prius is way back there in sixth. Nowhere near this group of cars at the front. Again, Prius's big thing is that he has been fast, but he has been fast on the softer compound tires. Now, with everyone basically locked onto the harder compound, he is just not looking very good whatsoever compared to this lead group. Mav leads stably over Maybe, Claiming Haynes out in third, just close enough to hold the draft, but not close enough to get involved with these two tangle. NFL and Amish are now starting to fall off as NFL really dealing with some bad tire fall off now. 56, 57%. Again, when NFL pits, which he'll probably do in another lap or two, when NFL pits, he'll throw on the medium tires, I imagine. He'll only have to go about 27 laps. Might even throw on the softs if he's really feeling bold. He'll likely start putting the fastest laps down track, but he is going to go a lap down after doing that. Maybe runs in second, Claiming in third. Both of them running behind the Big Mav. Inside line by Maybe on Mav through turn one. Mav gives it to him and falls right back in line behind Maybe. It is 2 Fords, Bang gaining one of the Excite cars here with less than 30 laps to go. PTG, no, that is not Nev, that is Thomas. Pitts now off of the lead lap. So the driver is near the rear of the grid, now all starting to fall off. NFL finally goes ahead and makes his stop with about 25 laps left, so he might try to go to the end on the soft tires. And that is someone who has stopped on circuit there. What is going on there? Is that Dr. Pepper? That was Dr. Pepper, and that front of that car is absolutely destroyed. Is that going to be a yellow? Yes, it looks like that is a yellow. So Dr. Pepper, now 6 laps down, brings out the yellow. And this could be huge for NFL because NFL has just completed his pit stop. NFL got the pit stop done before the yellow flag came out. He will be last on the lead lap, but he has completed his pit stop and he is going to be on the softest tires on the grid. So either he stays at the back and rushes his way up through the grid, and because no one else ahead pits, or everyone ahead pits, and NFL goes into the lead. NFL gets a massive boot of fortune here with about 25 laps left. But of course the question is, if NFL goes to the lead, but all these drivers around him pit, he's going to immediately be harassed by the likes of Maybe and Claiming, who are both much faster than NFL. And in that case, he's screwed. NFL, this strategy realistically only works if he is the only guy on soft and everyone else elects to stay on the hard tires. And now that we have a yellow flag with about 25 laps left, I don't see that being an option. I think everyone will jump down. Most of them will put on softs. I think a few might choose to put on the medium tire because the softs will be hurting at the end of a 25-lap run. But I think most people are going to throw on the softs now and just run that to the end. And again, NFL will get track position, but I don't think he'll be able to hold off the entire field if everyone is on softs, especially if it's the likes of Maybe and Claiming who are going to be right on him. It looks like Big Block is going to stay on track, as will Jack Broseph, although Big Block is at 42% wear on his tires, so he's not going to be able to make it to the end of the tires. I look at Jack here in second. He's at 21%. He's trying to go to the end on the tires, and then NFL in third. He should, I believe, have put on either soft or medium tires. We don't really know what, but whatever NFL put on, they'll definitely last it to the end, and he's going to be third. Yes, the initial start will go in the favor of Block and Broseph, but NFL should be able to go forward right away, and this is Golden. He was a lap down. I think he'll still be put back behind all the rest of those lead lap cars who just completed their stops. Yes, he is. That's exactly what's happening by the looks of it. And at the end of this all, we'll be back to having 21 cars on the lead lap by the looks of it. And Golden, who is trying to do something to keep himself in championship contention, no life left in those tires. He has to come into the pits as they come to the green flag, I imagine. He just does not have a choice. So it's just going to go completely sideways for Golden here. And ScoredBuffalo's leading the championship is going to be well protected. Yes, Maybe is likely going to take a chunk out of it, but not enough of a chunk to really put Buffalo under any threat. So it's going to be Block and Broseph as they come down to the restart zone. And they go green. And yes, Golden pits as we anticipated, so he will be trapped a lap down with about 23 to go. And Block opens up a big gap on Broseph right away. NFL in third, but he has the big Mav right behind him. And Mav is also going to be on nice fresh tires. Technically, Mav's tires will be slightly fresher than NFL's as well. NFL immediately goes to the inside of Jack Broseph. There's nothing that Jack can even try to do. Big Mav to the inside. Big Mav clears NFL, and just like that, NFL's master strategy looks like it's nothing because Big Mav goes by him. Now Maybe goes by him, and NFL is now suddenly becoming completely irrelevant in the race that he looked like he was defining the strategy of. But Big Block has the lead still by half a second over Maybe. And we are back under the yellow all of a sudden. And we are back under the yellow. This is good news for Big Block. It gives him a chance to pit under the yellow, throw on new tires, probably brand new softs, and he can try to rush through the field as much as he can here. Claiming kind of fell back to about 6th in that run, so not a great restart for him. So it might be Maybe and Mav at the head of the field. So Mav is now the outsider, trying to take the fight to the FEC locals, coming from Excite. For those of you who are not familiar with Excite, they really made a name for themselves in the Forza community. The moment that the IndyCars got added to this game, Excite was immediately on top of it with a brand new IndyCar series. One of the first, if not the first, and arguably the most successful of those early groups to make an IndyCar league. And Excite really put them names on the map. Yes, people already knew them before that, but that was really the thing that really put them on the map. And now Big Mav is representing the Excite group here, running third with about 21 laps left here at Homestead Miami. I imagine we'll be going green momentarily here, because the field is already all gathered up. Golden now will be trapped a lap down. Thomas is also going to be a lap down. And that is Big Block pitting out of the lead. So it's going to be Maybe Racing dictating the restart. Big Mav has to react. But Maybe's been in this position lots of times before. He knows what to do. But Big Mav is not coming out of nowhere with this. He has IndyCar experience before, as now they accelerate. Green flag once again at Miami. Maybe got a great jump on Mav, and Mav has Twitchy behind him. And already Claiming gets by NFL like no business. This restart went fantastically for Claiming now. We still have 18 drivers on the lead lap late in this going. Technically, any of them could win it, but realistically, I think the fight's going to be between Racing, Mav, and then maybe Twitchy and Claiming. Drewski trying to bring himself up into the fray as well. Mav on the outside. That is Twitchy and Maybe on the inside. 3 wide briefly through turn number 1 is that red, white, and blue car of Twitchy who goes to the front. And now on the outside is Maybe. Side by side, neck and neck. There's Claiming. There's Drewski. Dindu is in the fray all of a sudden as well. We've not talked about him all day long. Side by side for a lead still between Twitchy and Maybe. There's 3 wide for third position behind. There are 5 wide almost as they come down the first straightaway. There are 4 wide for second position. A big dodge to the inside. Dindu goes to the lead. Makes contact with one of the Fords. They are making contact still in turn number 2. Ford on the outside. The number 50 on the inside. Here comes Twitchy up the middle. Now we see a big block. 3 wide for third position. There's a pack of about 8 cars. Prius is back in the fray late in this going as well. The 50 trying to hold the inside line. 4 wide for a lead across the line this time by. And there's still 4 wide to turn number 1. And there's contact. Big twitch by Twitchy. And he saves it. Twitchy saves the car that was out of control. 4 wide again. He has freight trained on the outside. And now Twitchy falls out of the top 5, and all of a sudden the lead pack morphs into this amorphous blob of about 15 cars. But it is Drewski now who is leading with Maybe in second, and Prius up to third with less than 20 laps left, only about 15 laps left in the going now. Again, a lot of these drivers will be dealing with some tire fall-off near the very end of this. Who runs them is going to be best able to manage the tire fall-off at the end of this. Maybe runs right behind Drewski, looks to the inside, but Prius is right there, still pressuring Maybe. We know Prius knows how to run in these oval races. He has been one of, if not the fastest guy here today. Now Dindu is coming back into the fray. He gets to the inside of Prius. Now he's going to get to the inside of Maybe as they go through the corners. Dindu is going to complete the overtake on Maybe. Maybe falls back into the third position. NDL drivers now run first and second on the circuit. Down the back straightaway into turns 3 and 4 once again. Drewski holds the lead. Dindu looking to the outside, but now fall back in line behind. NDL, Drewski, Dindu. Drewski top 2 right now. There, 4 wide once again farther back at the rear of the grid. Koka's broken back in the top 10. So has Dino. So has PTG Speed. Claiming Racer is starting to hemorrhage positions. He has fallen back out of the top 5 all over again. Maybe still runs in third. Prius still runs in fourth, but Prius is losing touch with the top 3. Maybe has caught Dindu. Dindu looks to the outside. Now falls back in line behind Drewski. Are the NDL drivers going to fight amongst each other, or are they going to try and make an impenetrable wall to stay ahead of the FEC regulars? NDL Dindu came off of a fantastic run last night in X League's GT3 event, making an uncompetitive Porsche fight for the win there. Now he is trying to do something similar, trying to fight in someone else's dominant series where they typically are the top drivers. Dindu is taking the fight to them late in the run, and he is not the only one. NDL Drewski still runs ahead of him. Now we have about 12 laps left. Drewski, Dindu, just about nose to tail, and they are acting like a wall over Maybe Racing. Big Mav has gotten by Prius. Prius is now starting to plummet backwards through the grid. He may have hit the wall there, which is causing him to lose ground. So Big Mav now up to 4th. Twitchy is back into the 5th position. 6th is Claiming Racer there in this 3-car pack for 4th, 5th, and 6th. But your podium drivers are still, and we have a caution. We have a yellow flag late in the event all of a sudden with about 10 laps to go. And it looks like Dr. Pepper has been involved in another accident. No, that is not Dr. Pepper. Who was that? Was that Golden? It was Golden! The driver who's already crashed out of the lead once has had another catastrophic accident late. He was already a lap down, and any shot that Golden had of mustering anything against Buffalo and keeping his championship hopes alive is over. Golden is likely going to see his championship hopes end with that. So it's going to be NDL drivers 1, 2 at the head of the grid with maybe in third. There are several drivers a lap down, such as Big Block and Thomas. They will hope to get a lap back. We don't know who, if anyone, is going to elect to pit under this yellow flag, or if there will even be time to do a pit stop under this yellow flag. If they elect to make this another really short yellow flag period, we could be going back green with about 8 laps left here. It will be 10 laps to go when the leaders hit the start-finish line this time by. Real quickly, we look at the tire wear of our lead group. 38.9% tires for Drewski. For Dindu, who runs in second, he is at 39.5% on the tire wear. Maybe Racing, who is in third position, is at 26%. So I think the answer is that Maybe is on the mediums. Drewski and Dindu likely on the softs. This is VER Twitchy. He is going to pit. He was at 27% tire wear. So Dindu stays out. Maybe stays out. So it's kind of half and half between the field. We have about 5 or 6 drivers saying, hey, our tires are good. We can go to the end. Dindu stayed out. Maybe stayed out. Shadow stayed out. Coca stayed out. Neb stayed out. Stinky Potato, who started on the front row, stayed out as well. But all these other guys all jumped into the pits. Now, all these people who pitted, they're going to be on brand new soft tires to the end, but they're going to have to rush their way through 6 drivers in about what, 8 laps or so? And with how fast the laps click by here, 8 laps, that if we stay green with no issues, 8 laps would still be over in less than 3 minutes here. This is going to be a very, very rapid sprint to the end. Dindu, maybe Shadow, Coca, Neb, Drewski, then Stinky Potato, and it looks like it will be VER Twitchy who will be leading the group that just got done with that pit stop. And these drivers will definitely be on soft tires and will have no issue flying forward. Their issue is going to be time. It's not going to be pace. It's not going to be space. It will be time. They'll have less than 3 minutes to try and catch the leaders. Dindu, leading maybe. We're going to be going green with 8 laps to go. 9 laps to go. Sorry, green with 9 laps to go. And we are underway, and Dindu really caught Maybe sleeping, so that's an interesting inversion. Dindu caught Maybe sleeping, slides around to break the draft on Maybe, but Maybe has caught the draft anyway, and will start closing the gap back down. Immediately, Drewski is already trying to make moves back there, but look at Twitchy. Twitchy around the outside, down the inside, and that red, white, and blue car. Twitchy is going to be the one to watch, as Dindu and Maybe are leading, with NDL Shadow in third. Coca, who is a karting driver in his own right, hangs out in fourth. He's trying to take his real-life racing experience into this. 3 wide for a lead. Dindu, Maybe, Shadow, as they all come across the line. It is the Excite car, I believe. Was that Shadow? Yes, it is Shadow, who now goes to the lead in with another one of those Excite machines, staying just ahead of Maybe. Dindu slips back to third. There is Coca in fourth position. Neb runs in fifth. Could he finally put together a good run in one of these races as they come back to the start-finish line? Shadow trying to stay ahead of Maybe, but he doesn't have Dindu behind him trying to run interference. Now we see Maybe looking to the outside. Shadow to the inside. Neck and neck, side by side between the 2 of them. Dindu still behind. Now Dindu falls in line behind his teammate. They're trying to front train Maybe as they are coming to the inside line as they go down the straightaway. That big glut of cars on the soft tires are trying to run them down, but they're all spending so much time fighting, going 3 and 4 wide there. They're not really running down the leaders. Twitchy and Claiming still on top of each other. There is a 4-car fight at the head of the grid, but those drivers at the front, their tires are getting worse and worse. But these guys back here might all end up wrecking before we get to the end here. Still, Twitchy and Claiming are stuck side by side. They are not closing out the leaders enough, but now they are! The leaders are stuck 2 by 2. They're all slowing each other down. They're punching a gigantic hole in the air. The likes of Claiming and Twitchy are going to come in. We're going to have an 11-car glut of cars coming to the checkered flag by the looks of it. Shadow inside, Maybe outside. Dindu runs in third position. Now PTG Speed out of nowhere is coming back into the fray. He lunges to fourth place with less than 5 laps to go. It's still Shadow and Maybe at the head of the field now. Shadow trying to make it work, and the field is all caught up. Speed is now there in third, being pushed from behind by a Ford. He's getting pushed into a Ford ahead. There's 3 wide, there's 4 wide, and one is on top of each other. It is madness like 2015 in Fontana, and there's contact. Somehow, no accident there. They're 1 and 2. But now Speed falls way back down the grid. There's even more contact between this glut of cars. Somehow everyone is still there. Dino is in there. NFL's there. Almost every big name in today's race is in this big glut of cars. But at the front is the NDL duo, Shadow and Didn't Do, right now. But that's not over yet. Here is Claiming Racer, the biggest name arguably at Miami in this series, wrapping around the outside with just 2.5 laps to go. Side by side with NDL Shadow. Claiming gets the car just about completely ahead. He does get ahead. Claiming Racer back to the front, trying to defend his wins at Miami last season. Claiming still running just ahead of Shadow. Big Mav now in third. That is Prius trying to make moves from the back there. But it's a 2-car break right now with Claiming and Shadow. Shadow looks to the outside with 2 laps to go. Now falls back behind. Now looks to the inside as they come through turns 1 and 2. Down the back straightaway. This time by number 13 holds the station. Shadow looks to the inside. Now looks back to the outside. Side by side briefly as they go into the last 2 corners. Now through turn 4 once again, Claiming holding station over Shadow. Coming down to the white flag this time by. And we have a caution. We have a caution at the white flag. And we're not going to get a chance to go green again. So that race is over. And like I said before, you can't beat the FEC veterans in their own game. If you need to beat the FEC guys, you have to catch them outside of the FEC ecosystem. You will never beat them in their own game. As Claiming Racer defends his oval race wins at Miami from last season with another one here in Season 2. NDL Shadow was right there but could not do anything to Claiming. The Big Mav will be third. Prius will come home fourth. Maybe comes out of this fifth. Bittersweet for Maybe because he's going the right way in results, but he is so far behind ScoredBuffalo in points, and fifth is not going to be enough for him to seriously start challenging Buffalo for the championship again. As we come to the checkered flag, Claiming Racer is your winner. Shadow second, Big Mav third, Prius fourth, Maybe fifth, Jack sixth, Drusky seventh, Coca eighth, Didn't Do ninth, NFL 10th, Dino 11th. You'll get a more proper rundown of the grid in a little bit here. We're going to take a Twitch mandated ad break, and when we come back, we will try and get some post-race interviews with some of our top finishers here. Ugh. Excuse me. Yeah, I can hear you. All right. The party, yeah, Xbox does that a lot. Hopefully the party doesn't crash here. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back here to Miami. a wet fart of a in, sadly, after what had been a absolutely fantastic run, arguably the best race that FEC Indycar has had at Miami for a long time. We want to go ahead and start our talking with our 5th place finisher, Maybe Racing. Maybe a very interesting time for you. A good run, another good run. This should put you into second in points, but you're still so far away from the points leading the championship. Is there anything different you think you could have done today?
Not get door checked by the leading car. If that didn't happen, I probably won, but if someone wants to drive like that, I'll just remember for the next few races. Yeah, just essentially if I didn't get door checked coming off a 2 to 1 corner, a white car, I'm not going to say who, but if they don't want to door check me, I probably won that race, but they want to drive dirty, so here we are.
Well, are you going to try and give penalty submissions from that?
So I'll look at it myself and come to my own conclusions, but ultimately what it looked like on the track for me, I got door checked, and that's what happens. And we'll see what happens with it, and I'll just remember things going on to the next race.
All right, well, anything else you want to say maybe going forward? Because next race is going to be back to the road courses.
No, not really. Fords are fast, and we're doing good. Luckily, I have good teammates to help pick it up.
All right, well, that's the word from a 5th place finisher, Maybe Racing. I want to go ahead and talk with our 4th place finisher, Prius Killer, real quickly. Prius, make sure your audio is included.
Should be.
Up front at the start, led a bunch of laps early, led laps sporadically throughout, but just not quite close enough at the end. Is there anything different you think you could have done out there?
Honestly, I don't know. Potentially pitting on hards, but I didn't test the hards, so I didn't trust those tires at all. Also, with me and Maybe, that position is up for debate. We were so close together, we don't know who got 4th.
Well, it said maybe on my end, but I was more confused as to what had happened when the yellow called out. I wasn't really looking at 3rd and 4th there, so...
Yeah, we both have clips, so we'll both see.
All right, well, whether it's a 4th or 5th result, great run out there. You won at Indy last year, and you showed you still have that oval racing prowess. Do you think you can defend your run at Indy in a few weeks' time?
I don't know, because that was mainly a strategy call, but I'll definitely have the pace to try it.
All right, anything else you want to say before we go ahead and let you go for the night?
I'm probably missing next week, but we'll see. I have a birthday to go attend.
All right, well, hopefully you're able to show up for your birthday at least, but who knows? We'll see. In any case, thanks for jumping and talking with us. A great run you had out there, mate. And now I want to go ahead and try and talk with our 3rd place finisher, the Big Mav. Mav, go ahead and include your audio in the Xbox party. Right there in the thick of it at the end, but that late race yellow, that last lap yellow, sapped any chance you had at a run. Do you think you could have got Claiming in Shadow at the end there?
I think I could have gotten up there and at least contended. I think that Shadow was definitely holding on to the run that Claiming had. I believe Claiming was on those soft tires. I'm not 100% sure, but that's my assumption. If he was on the soft tires, it was a great run. I think P3 is probably where we maxed out with kind of the calamity that went on back there. Overall, pretty solid run. I got bailed out by that second to last caution. I had made a bad pit stop, needed another yellow to make a strategy work. Got it. Helped us out and kind of salvaged that P3.
Well, it was not just any kind of salvage. That was a pretty solid run. Mind you, in those last 5 or 6 laps, there was a glut of about 11 cars all on top of each other within about a second. And somehow you survived that and still pulled a podium off. Like, that's not just surviving. I would argue that you were thriving under pressure out there, Mav.
Yeah, it was definitely a mess. Was just, final 10 laps and everyone was kind of on equal ground. No one was gonna roll over. No one was gonna work with each other, which I didn't expect that. Pretty fun, pretty solid. Was a good night.
All right, well, Mav, it was a good night, and I look forward to seeing what you can do going forward throughout the rest of this series. Thanks for jumping in and talking with us. Great job on the podium.
Thank you.
All right, now I want to talk with our 2nd place finisher, Indy Shadow. Shadow, you, if I remember correctly, you're running on that car, the Excite brand, the Excite League livery, if I remember correctly. Do you think experience with Excite, that we're one of the first groups in Forza to run an IndyCar league on this game, do you think experience there has helped you out at all in this series?
I think it's definitely helped. I missed a few of those IndyCar rounds, I think, including some of the like flat out oval ones. But I think if anything, experience driving prototypes is more useful than anything in this car, because it basically just drives the same with more power and a little more grip. I obviously oval racing experience has helped, but most of that has been from NASCAR League events.
Well, we saw the yellow come out with about a lap and a third left, kind of derailed any shot that you had of mustering a run against Claiming. Do you think there was anything you could have done to Claiming if it went green to the end?
I mean, there was always the chance that he could make a mistake, but he was on soft tires, so he was just going to carry.
Yeah, no, I've raced with Claiming enough. Claiming's not going to make a mistake, so
yeah. He was just gonna be like 1-2 miles an hour faster in the corners, and the draft isn't enough to get by someone who's doing that. So I think P2 was the best I was going to do, even if it had stayed green.
Well, you had a 4th place result. I believe it was, I think it was a 4th place result at Hakone. You missed the Sunset Road course, but you come back with a podium result now. If you don't miss any more races, you are still in the talks for potentially a championship run. Do you think you have a shot at the championship in the season?
I mean, yeah, it just depends on my availability. Because I don't know what that's going to look like for the next however many weeks. Is it 12 or 10 weeks? 10 more?
Yeah, this is race 3, so we have 10 more races.
Yeah, it really just depends on my availability, but hopefully I'd be able to.
All right, anything else you want to say before we go ahead and let you go sleep for the night? Because you probably feel exhausted after that.
I don't have anything more. Thanks for the interview.
All right, well, that's the word from NDL Shadow, coming home second, but just a little bit too little against this man here, Claiming Racer. Claiming, go ahead, include your audio. Claiming, you won here at Miami last year, and you're doing it again this year. What is the secret sauce that gives you such an advantage here?
I really don't know. Honestly, the whole race, I didn't feel that great about it, honestly. Was a little unsure what the proper tires to be on were. Started the race on hards, just on the off chance the yellow came out to not get trapped a lap down. Or really, I think you could almost go 2 laps down depending on where you're at. So I just didn't want to have to fight my way back out of that hole. Ultimately, after that, pitted for mediums and just kind of ran mediums the rest of the race. And I think the yellows just played out in our favor. And I think it was like 10 laps to go was the final yellow. And just threw softs on, basically just threw caution to the wind and said, hey, I'm either going to get up there or something, or I'm not. So, yeah, overall, fun race. The last 10 laps were chaotic. It was so many cars, but it was a lot of fun, and hate to see it end under yellow, but unfortunately it's how it goes, and never want to win it that way, but still a win.
Well, it was a win. This is a pretty solid run that we've seen from you today, back to your normal form, closer to what we are used to seeing from you in FEC. I mean, granted, you did get a podium last week as well, but you missed the first race of the season. Do you think your availability will be good enough that you can try and make a championship run to the end of the year?
Yeah, we'll see. I'll definitely be here next weekend. The weekend after that, I don't know. So I wouldn't plan on, going for the championship, but if I end up making enough races to be able to make a run at it, then just be another plus.
All right, well, Claiming you're one of the 3 big dogs in FEC, along with maybe and ScoredBuffalo. The three of you win about 80% of all events in FEC. But unlike those two, you don't really have those big name championships in this league yet. I would really like to see you be able to put enough starts together and go for that big title run here. But either way, championship thoughts aside, that was a hard-fought victory. I spent a lot of time on the harder compound tires. You put a lot of people left. I do want to say that is one other thing. The strategy play that you went on, at one point, you had trapped all but like 4 people lapped down. And then when you ran a similar strategy play a little bit later in the run, you had like all but the top 9 a lap down. So I wouldn't complain about your strategy too much. If we had a long green flag run to the end, you were on track to maybe be the only guy on the lead lap at the end. So don't poo-poo your strategies too much. That was a pretty solid strategy, I think, that you had going there.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard for me going, into having to do my own strategy. I'm so used to real life having someone on the radio with me doing that for me. So I think that's honestly, a lot of these other guys have way better knowledge of that than I do, just because I'm not, used to it. So, definitely don't put everyone else off. That was race really I'd probably say the top 8 could have won. I was just lucky enough to position myself right to be there and at the end.
All right. Well, Claiming, thanks for talking with us. It was a fantastic drive out there. I'm really looking forward to seeing what else you can do in the IndyCar races going forward.
Yeah, thank you.
Great job out there.
Thank you.
All right. And with that in mind, that'll pretty much wrap up our broadcast here from Homestead Miami. Of the 3 FEC IndyCar races that have been hosted at Miami, the first one was awful. That was the first one last year. The second one was solid. Not great, but was pretty solid. This one was absolutely fantastic, but that late race yellow really kind of put a bad damper on it, I would say. But still, things are starting to really look up for FEC. Yes, last week at Sunset was a chaotic mess, but the Hakone race had been absolutely fantastic. The Miami race we've had today has been absolutely fantastic as well. I'll be curious to see what next week brings us, because next week we'll be going to Grand Oak, which is a fictional circuit in this game, another fictional circuit. Last season, it was a very small field that turned out to Grand Oak. There were a handful of yellows, but not really a lot went on in that race. With a potentially larger field and a lot more competitive field, I'll be interested to see how things change. But until next time, I've been host for today's broadcast in Same Leader 13. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today for a very interesting race. Farewell, and goodbye, everyone.
So how dead are you now?
1 sec. 1 sec. One second. Trying to knock out last Twitch ad break here before this is over, because I'm a slut for money. Yeah, not a lot, but it is something. It averages out to about $15 or so a month. Sometimes a little less. But yeah, give me like 30 seconds here. You still came home top 10. I was not even looking at you guys. My focus was solely on the front of the field, so... No, I mean like literally first, second, third, so...